Good day or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. I'm your host, Debby Bruck, the founder of Homeopathy World Community's social network, professional network for homeopaths around the world. Thank you to Amnon Nissan of Nissan Communications, our show producer and a very good friend of mine. I wanted to let you know, Amnon, that I put up a hummingbird feeder this week, and already the hummingbirds have found the nectar.
Oh.
And yay, because I'm visiting his production studio here, and he's got them swarming everywhere. It's exciting to try out new things and to be adventurous, to expand our horizons. And I can't wait to talk about our topic of change today with our guest speaker, Dr. Todd Rowe. I want to welcome all of our friends, our regular viewers, and those folks out there who have just turned in today for the first time. If you don't hear me, I guess you can't hear me tell you to refresh your page, but you can call in if you're living in the United States to area code 919-518-9773. I'll repeat that, 919-518-9773. And if you are outside the United States, you can call in via your Skype connection to Computers 2K Voice. We also have calling in from New Delhi, India, my regular co-host, Dr. Deepak Sharma of Orbit's Clinic. And I want to wish you a happy Eid or celebration. I don't know if there's a special greeting for this holiday, but it is a big occasion. And we also want to welcome our special guest today, Dr. Todd Rowe, who graduated from the Rush Medical School in Chicago, Illinois in 1984. He completed his psychiatric residency at the University of Vermont in 1988 and achieved the board certification in psychiatry in 1992. He completed his homeopathic training at the Hahnemann College of Homeopathy in Albany, California, and has been a practicing licensed homeopathic physician for over 25 years. Most everyone has heard of Dr. Rowe, and he is doing some marvelous, innovative projects these days, and we're going to learn about that. He's certified by the American Board of Homeotherapeutics and the Council for Homeopathic Certification, and he teaches widely. We were just discussing all of the technology that we use today over the internet to teach. And he is the president of the American Medical College of Homeopathy and director of the American Medical College of Homeopathy Medical Center. He supervises homeopathic students and trains medical students and residents in classical homeopathy. I think I could probably talk on and on about all of your accomplishments, and there are books that you've written that are well known, and many, 18 provings at least that you have done of homeopathic remedies, and these are like clinical trials in regular medicine. So I want to welcome you, and just join us today, everyone. Dr. Todd, are you able to hear?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I just want to say what a pleasure it is to be here, how much I have admired the network and the show, and thank you for all you do.
You're welcome.
Your video is frozen.
Right, so he has to refresh. Okay. Okay, so, and welcome, Dr. Sharma. I'm hoping that you can hear. I know that the internet is sparse coming. That's what makes this a really exciting international show. You never know how the airwaves are going to be. And I wanted to mention that I remember when you rang the closing bell for the NASDAQ in December 29, 2010. It's already been 2 years, just about. I was sitting in a hotel room and I recorded the entire occasion because I wanted to share it with the world. And for those who love homeopathy, it was a momentous occasion. We were looking into the future of medicine, the future of homeopathy in America. But for others, they cannot fathom moving forward and leaving the comfort of what feels safe, solid, and secure, even though something better might lie over the ridge. It's a place where you maybe cannot see where you're going, probably going into the unknown. And at that time you said, and I quote you, "We have a dream whose time has come. Alternative medicine facilities are growing exponentially as people discover better health in a way that is less expensive." And I'm welcoming you to contribute to the discussion. Those people who are on the chat, those people who can call in. And Dr. Rowe, are we waiting for his sound to come in now? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So
Okay.
go ahead and
I'm trying
respond.
to refresh my video, but well, at least you can hear me for the moment.
Go ahead and turn your video off again and on again.
I did, and it's starting to reboot right now for the video.
Okay, but we can hear you.
Very good. So just a couple of comments. It's a fascinating topic to me, and I think a very important one in our current culture, and maybe we'll get to that a little later, about why the topic of change is so important at this particular point in our history, not only as homeopaths, but also as a world culture. From a homeopathic standpoint, the issue of change has been one that has been a fierce debate, I would say, over the last 200 years. On the one hand, we have individuals in homeopathy who firmly believe that homeopathy is a very fundamental teaching that Hahnemann created centuries ago that needs to be preserved and not altered, not changed. And so there can be very fierce protection and a willingness not to change in homeopathy. And then there are individuals who also embrace change and perhaps go the other direction, where they believe that any change is a good thing. And that Hahnemann, although he had some interesting ideas, is outdated, no longer so useful, and we need to move on to more and more and new and modern ideas. And so this tension, I think, within homeopathy has gone on and to the detriment of homeopathy. And I believe that it's a tension that has to be ultimately resolved for our community to grow and to move forward.
So we're all feeling this tension. And was there a time in history when we didn't have such quite a high amount of tension in the world for homeopathy?
I would say that it goes in cycles, and that there are various times in the growth of homeopathy where there's been less tension, and then there's been various times when there has been greater tension. Just like any field of endeavor, there are times of growth, intensive growth, followed by times of relative quiescence and latency. For example, as a teacher and teaching students, I've noticed that students don't learn in a linear kind of way. That typically happens is that they will go through long periods of not learning so much, and then all of a sudden there's a tremendous burst and a transformation where they take their knowledge to a whole new level. And this I also think is true of homeopathy. And I do believe that we are in a time in our history in homeopathy where we are in a position of tremendous growth to move forward.
I understand we have a caller. Who's there, please? We're talking about change and growth, and I'm wondering about embracing this change. You know, those people who are perhaps leaders in moving any kind of a progress forward. Caller, I can hear you, please. No? They've left. Okay, so it's a matter of being able to embrace something that is new, and there are explorers in this world, adventurous people who are willing to break the boundaries of where they've been before. And so I can see that there's this kind of an energy that moves us forward, and we have to have some leaders to do that.
Definitely. I came across this quote in preparing for today that I really loved, and it's by Christopher Columbus.
Whoa!
And it reads, "If you are not willing to lose sight of the land, how will you ever discover new lands?"
Right.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
So we definitely need leaders. We need, and there aren't a lot of leaders in the homeopathic community. Having served on a variety of boards over the years and a variety of organizations, all of these organizations struggle to find people who will fill the administrative and leadership positions. And if there are any latent leaders out there in the audience, I would strongly encourage you to volunteer and step forward and share your ideas. And sometimes the best ideas don't come necessarily from the most experienced of us in the community. They often come from the newbies, the beginners. And so please share your ideas and your thoughts. We are a community, and as a community, when everyone participates, we are that much stronger.
That's true. And you never know who it is who's going to be the person to do that leadership role, who's going to come out and I like to say the word perform or whatever it is, because I myself have always been somebody who's been in the background and just a follower, and just there was a spark, something that happened for me that helped me to create this show. Did you have something to say, Amnon?
I just want to ask Dr. Rowe to keep on. Your video does not need to boot. It takes probably 2 to 3 seconds. If it doesn't come up on your end, then go ahead and turn your camera off again by clicking on and start it again. And if it doesn't come on by now, do it again.
All right, I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, just keep doing it. Don't worry, and it will come up.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to say too, Debbie, is that there's an important idea for me that I've written about a bit. Here I am, I think.
Yay!
It's the word callings. And I believe that many of us are called. It's kind of like our mission, if you will. Mm-hmm. And we're called to homeopathy. It's something that grabs us. It pulls us out of our ordinary life. We may have been practicing some other kind of healing, or we may have been an engineer or whatever, and we're called to homeopathy. And for many of us, we can't not honor that call. To not honor that call actually makes us sick in a way. It's something that we have to do. And similarly, I think in someone's journey, and I refer to it as the homeopathic journey, there is often a point where we are called to teach, and there is often a point where we are called to lead. And when we reach those points, it is something that we have to do. We have to listen to that voice, even if, as you say, we don't feel we're ready, or we don't feel that we have the skills set or the knowledge or whatever. We have to honor that call.
It's almost as if you have to be in a place of readiness or willingness to hear that voice, to hear that change that's going to come upon you. Because for today's show, just put me on. For today's show, I had prepared ideas and thoughts and meditations of what I wanted to talk about. But as the show has begun, and I am simply listening to Todd speak about what he wants to say, my responses and reactions to him are taking me in a totally different direction. which means that you have to be willing to let go of where you thought you were going to be, of what you wanted to do, and let the direction of where you're supposed to be going in this moment in time bring you to some new ideas, new thoughts, new innovations. And this is what is actually happening every moment. Dr. Sharma, are you able to hear us today? Do you have a thought about this? I don't know whether...
Yes, I am hearing the talk, and it is very nice to hear by the Dr. Todd. He's sharing his experiences.
Dr. Sharma, did you have an experience in your life that there was some sort of a change where it may have been unexpected?
I have a few of my patient, or in I just feel in my change and life change in my life also.
To be a homeopathic
and
physician?
It was the time of 2 years back when I took a dose of yes, by a homeopathic medicine, and the medicine was soranum. I took a dose of 1 potency, that is 1,000, and
okay, so he's saying that he did take a homeopathic remedy.
Next week, I feel...
Okay, we're not getting the sound.
Depressed and feel the society tendency also. And
okay, we're having a difficult time with the sound. So basically what Dr. Sharma is getting at is that sometimes an initiation of a change occurs from homeopathic remedies. Okay, Todd, I think you're back with us.
Hopefully I am.
Okay. We take it as it comes. Whatever happens on the airwaves, we play with it.
And it's part of that whole flexibility and surrender to the moment, to be able to come with whatever is there. And this is fundamental to me to being a good homeopath. And Hahnemann talks about it in the Organon as freedom from prejudice that's necessary to being a good homeopath, to being a good case taker. And to me, it requires an openness to life and to experience and to what comes, and a flexibility that sometimes is difficult to have in all situations.
And isn't that our definition of health? To be that is for us the ability to, like, I think of Qigong, I think of Tai Chi, to be able to move and flow and whatever is coming at you, to your coping ability with life.
It requires a lot of flexibility, and another key word is surrender. Surrender to the moment, because what the fear of change, the fear of moving forward, often has to do with an attachment to the past or to the future and what we expect, and not living in the present time, in the present moment, in the present space of whoever we are with.
Right, and that word surrender is really apropos for today, for this celebration of Eid, when it is a memorial or honorary time of when Abraham sacrificed Isaac, and he was willing to go with his mission, to listen to his voice within and do as he was supposed to do, and then it all emanates from there, the future. And so we have to, he was going blind up the mountain. He was not knowing what was going to happen in the future. And that's where we have to be, both standing solidly on the ground, with feet planted firmly to know what is right and wrong, and also in our hearts to be able to have that faith that what we're doing is correct.
Yes. We rely oftentimes on external sense of security and structure for our survival. And to be really flexible, to be open, to surrender, we have to change that reliance on external measures of security to an internal one. We have to find that sort of still point within us, within each of us. This is the point where we do our best work as homeopaths, when we reach that still point within and we listen to it. And when we reach that still point, we can clearly hear our mission and where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do, and can then follow it.
And there are things that are going to, we have that one little voice that's going to say, yeah, I feel something tugging at me, telling me that I need to do this. But there's going to be something that's going to be the resistance part of making that move forward. And to surrender, actually in my meditation this morning, I was thinking, coming off of your article that I had read, which was called "Why Are So Many Doctors Resistant to Change?" And that's why we got into this discussion in the first place, that you mentioned the emotion of shame. And that was holding people back from being able to go into that new space and explore. There are many kinds of emotions from our past that you mentioned, or we want to remain in a particular status and have people look at us in a certain way that prevents us from really changing ourselves, from making ourselves new because of that.
Hahnemann talked about a concept called obstacles to cure. And I believe that there are similar obstacles to learn as a student, obstacles to teach as a teacher, and obstacles to lead as a leader. And the growth of all of these, as a homeopath and as a teacher and as a leader, all involves change, transformation. And I like to use the word transformation, actually, even more than change, because transformation fundamentally is a deeper change. It's a change that occurs at all levels of our being, not just a small change, but a change that really affects who we are on a deep level. I think Dr. Sharma was alluding to this before we got cut off when he took that remedy, the serenum, that it can actually transform our lives and lead to a deep-seated change that changes our whole direction. But to get to those places, to transform in that kind of way, as you say, involves and necessitates letting go, surrender, and movement from obstacles that prevent us from doing that. And shame, I believe, is one of the greatest obstacles that prevents us from moving forward in a transformative kind of way.
And when I read that was such a key aspect that prevents us from change when we have this shame, I hate to go into spirituality, but I end up there every time, that shame means that we have human qualities, that we have frailties, that we make mistakes, that we have to admit our mistakes to ourselves so that we can give ourselves forgiveness. And this is the process by which we can change, by, in a way, self-destruction, saying that we're going to collapse this ego of ourselves and reduce ourselves to a person that admits that we made a mistake. And that's the only way that we can move out and transform into a new being.
Very true. I believe that humility, which is one of the antidotes to shame, along with wonder, is one of the most important qualities in a homeopath and a healer. It's very difficult to be a good healer, a good practitioner, if you come from a place of arrogance. And life consistently will break that arrogance down until you finally reach that place of humility. And it's when you reach that place of humility that you really can be more open to moving forward and transforming in a deep kind of way.
And this is why, it's not just physicians, it's within all of us. It's this same universal human essence energy of being able to admit all of these things that we might have made a mistake. And the hardest part is if you've been on the road, maybe the wrong road, for so long, and you've invested so much energy, so much of your time, so much of your money, or, like research says that antibiotics is the way. How many decades has this said that this is the way to cure? And yet we're learning that it's not the answer.
What's interesting to me is that when we did a national survey of homeopaths here in this country, we found that the average age was 48 years old. And I've done a lot of thinking about why that is. And there's various reasons for it, but one of them is that many people who come to homeopathy come because they've been through some kind of personal crisis. Mm-hmm. They've done a conventional route, or they've believed in conventional medicine, and something has happened in their lives that has transformed that worldview into one in which they suddenly become more open. And it takes time for that to happen, especially in a culture that doesn't foster that kind of belief, unless you were brought up in that. It takes a while for you to have gone through that mill and that process to realize that there are alternatives to life and to approach health and healing. And so I think that's why so many people approach homeopathy later in their life, later in their career, after they've had those personal experiences that have broken down that belief system and worldview.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. It's the same.
Yes.
Dr. Sharma, did you want to comment?
Yes. I also agree with Dr. Todd because everyone is thinking that homeopathy is the last treatment. And when they are fed up with the conventional treatment and have a lot of side effects with the medicine of conventional medicines, then they are thinking that homeopathy can do a magic. And maximum cases when we are handling in India also on that stage with maximum type of conventional medicine side effects, maximum time the patient's vital force is very lack in the vitality, and this may be a big drawback.
Yes. Todd, did you want to reply to that about when patients have been through severe treatments and side effects, and that's when they finally search out for some alternative, which includes homeopathy?
Yeah. The other thing that we found in our national patient survey was that about 50% of patients come to homeopathy kind of as the court of last resort. And that is, they've tried everything. They've tried the conventional medicine has to offer, and then they decide to give alternative medicine a try. And it's at this point that they have nothing to lose. They have surrendered, and they're ready to move on. The other 50% of patients that come to homeopaths come in a little different way, where they see homeopathy as being a way of providing primary care. It's not so much from a place of desperation, but they've already been interested in alternative medicine and are willing to work with a practitioner who provides alternative medicine on an ongoing basis.
And for folks who are in India, I do a show on Wednesday with Dr. Adil Chimthalawala Kasim, who is a fourth-generation homeopath, which means that it's part of their life. They live and breathe homeopathy. At their dinner table, they're talking about what they've learned, and they collaborate together, and it's so amazing and rejuvenating to hear this kind of a community. So we would love to have that in America, because we've lost a lot of our history. People might not realize that America began, the first hospitals were homeopathic hospitals. So we are kind of getting back to our roots, but we need, I'm curious, you said that it's the age 48 or so that starts seeking out. What about the young generation, the new age generation, who perhaps are they more open to something that's, I think, a holistic approach?
So this is something that as a college we've thought a lot about, and that is how to attract younger students, younger practitioners to the field of homeopathy. And I think that we're just beginning to do that. A lot of it has to do, though, with ensuring that we have a career path for those individuals, a successful career path. The kinds of questions that people ask when they approach homeopathy, and am I going to have a career in homeopathy, is how much income can I make? Can I get licensed? Can I get nationally board certified? What kind of income can I make? How easy is it to attract patients? Those kinds of things. That's the kinds of questions that people are interested in who are a younger group. It's not so much that they don't believe in alternative medicine or that they don't have an interest in working in that kind of way, but we live in a culture now where people want to meet the bottom line, particularly in this age of financial insecurity, that it's important that the profession be solid. And so we've been trying to work on mechanisms here and educational platforms that will create a more solid profession ultimately for the field of homeopathy here in the United States.
And we would like to let the folks know, the viewers, maybe we have 1,000, maybe more, who can support you in that. So would you like to just mention how they can help you?
So part of our vision is to create a homeopathic medical school here in the United States, similar to the homeopathic medical schools that used to exist in the United States. Around about 1900, there were about 25 homeopathic medical schools and about 50 homeopathic hospitals here in the United States. Homeopathic medical schools also are a model that is very successful elsewhere in the world, like India and that kind of thing. And we believe that to take homeopathy to a more professional level in the United States that's greater recognized and accepted by the American public, that having medical schools is an important ingredient to accomplish that. And so that's been a direction of ours to embark on. And of course, part of creating a homeopathic medical school is also creating a homeopathic hospital that'll be part of the campus ultimately. And that's a direction that we've been interested in pursuing as well.
Well, I want to send you a blessing, a good wish that all of your dreams and visions will come to fruition, because you are a leader in this realm of creating a good foundation of homeopathy, teachers, physicians, everything, students in America. And so I'm hoping that all of our listeners will spread the word, and we're going to give the address for your college on the network here. So you want to, it's
www.amcofh.org.
Okay, and we also have on the front page of Homeopathy World Community the banner link to the announcement about today, plus all those links to you. So they can contact you directly if anyone is out there is interested in healing work today, in medicine. There might be a solution for you. So, Dr. Sharma, did you have a comment? I just wanted to check in with you. I don't think we're having sound there. So, what else do you want to tell us about?
Yes.
Did you have something? Okay.
Yes. And I want to ask one question from Dr. Todd. What are the specialty of the AMH as an Institute of Homeopathy in America, and what kind of teachings in your college is done? That is a classical or is it therapeutic studies are there?
Yeah. So 2 questions. Our specialties. We focus on 3 things as a college. First is excellence in education. The second is excellence in clinical care. And the third is excellence in research. Those are our 3 primary focuses as a college. I would say that one thing that probably stands out about our college is our research. We do a lot of research. There isn't much research that's being done elsewhere in the country, and we definitely are a leader in research as we move forward. The other area that we've been focusing on that I would say is a 4th area is international work. We're pursuing NGO status as a college and are hoping to get that in the next month or 2. And we've been working on a variety of projects, partnering in other countries like Afghanistan and Haiti and Dominican Republic and Kenya and those kinds of things as well. So that would be a 4th focus. In regards to the focus of our college, we are a classically oriented institution. We teach classical homeopathy, and that is our foundation. We do recognize and believe, though, that there are many other people who practice other forms of homeopathy in the world today. And so once someone has this basic foundation of classical homeopathy, we also offer courses so that they have some awareness of other approaches to homeopathy as well, more non-classical approaches. So we have some courses in that. But our primary focus, our primary purpose, and the way we practice is classically oriented.
That is great. Really great.
The people who might apply to the college, they would be nurses that already have a medical background, or not even necessarily have that?
So we offer a full range of courses from very introductory to the full-time medical school. We have part-time programs. We have acute care courses. We really are open to anyone that's interested in learning homeopathy. We also teach online and we teach on campus. We have hybrid classes, so someone can study with us from anywhere and learn about homeopathy.
Which means that if you're a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, a nurse, a physician already practicing with a specialization of GP, and what about kids coming out of high school or college or undergrad?
It depends on our program. Our medical school has a requirement that they have to have a bachelor's level of education. Our practitioner programs, which are accredited, have the requirement that you have to have an associate's degree. We do offer sort of bridge courses for high school graduates to get to the level of training in the practitioner program. We also offer acute care courses for those individuals as well. We also partner with the Southwest Institute of the Healing Arts, which offers online courses for individuals who wish to get an associate's degree in holistic health, and they can have a concentration in homeopathy. So it's possible to get essentially an associate's degree in homeopathy.
It sounds like an enormous undertaking. So it's been in the works for some time. Dr. Sharma.
Yes, it is really great to hear about the AMCH, and I would like to refer my patients in Phoenix to Dr. Todd also, and I would like to participate in research programs associated with the AMCH, and I just suggest to do one thing. If you connected with a hospital to collect the knowledge of disease, that is a very important factor in the foreign 3 and 4 in the organ of medicine. And if you train a homeopathic practitioner with this knowledge,
okay, we're having a difficult time hearing you. Do you mind
if I... Great feature in India.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
let me respond to that, Debbie.
Okay.
Is it 3 or
I
4
think,
medical colleges?
I think I heard enough that I can respond.
Okay.
What he was saying, as I heard it, was that the importance of training with more severe pathology in homeopathy. Right now, most homeopathic programs in the United States focus on outpatient training and patients that are not that sick. And there's something very powerful about seeing patients who are quite ill responding in a deep kind of way to homeopathy. It really solidifies your belief and awareness of the scope and majesty of homeopathy. And I certainly agree with that. Unfortunately, in the United States, there are not a lot of hospitals that offer opportunities for homeopathic students. It's something that we're working on, and of course, creating our own hospital ultimately. What we're also doing in the interim is that we are partnering with like-minded homeopathic medical schools and homeopathic hospitals from around the world. And so in the interim, we're hoping to be able to send some of our students overseas to do training in other homeopathic hospitals where they can be exposed to more severe pathology, both as undergraduate level, but also postgraduate as well.
That sounds phenomenal. I was reading in the New York Times this article called Tropical Diseases, the New Plague of Poverty. And if I may quote, in the United States, 2.8 million children are living in households with incomes of less than $2 per person per day, a benchmark more often applied to developing countries. An additional 20 million Americans live in extreme poverty. In the Gulf Coast states of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, poverty rates are near 20%. In some of the poorer counties of Texas, where the author lives, rates often approach 30%. And he goes on to say that we are now seeing in America outbreaks of dengue fever, a mosquito-transmitted viral infection that is endemic to Mexico and Central America, parasitic infections, pork tapeworm, seizures, epilepsy, asthma, leishmaniasis. These are things that we think about in third world countries. They are now infiltrating into the American scene. And homeopathy, does that have some kind of solutions for these kinds of problems? Of course, Hahnemann says blocks to cure. We must clean up, sanitation, and give nutrition, basics.
Homeopathy has a very powerful role in these kinds of diseases. I think that this is already being seen in second and third world countries from around the world. What's kind of a shock, and it's part of that shame, if you will, from where we started, for America to admit how much poverty and ill health there is here in the United States. And the problems of the American medical system are oftentimes sort of slipped under the rug and ignored. But homeopathy can do wonders, not only in treating these diseases, but also prophylactically. I think homeopathy has a powerful preventive role as well. One of our goals as a college, as I mentioned, was to obtain NGO status. And obtaining NGO status is not only useful internationally, but also nationally, to allow us to go to places and treat more severe illnesses, to deal with crises like 9/11 and Katrina and all that kind of stuff, and to have a homeopathic presence in these disaster areas, I think would be increase the visibility of homeopathy, but also would lead to venues that we can begin to demonstrate in a research kind of way how effective homeopathy is for infectious disease. One of the things that we also did when we did our practitioner survey nationally was we identified which areas of health and ill health were most successfully treated by homeopaths. And what was interesting, we were kind of surprised by this. The number one area that people responded well to was infectious disease. And this, I think, underscores what Hahnemann said, and that is how effective homeopathy can be for a wide range of epidemic disease. And that's one of the reasons that homeopathy became so popular back in the 1800s, was its efficacy in treating these epidemic diseases.
And we have many contemporary indications of the effectiveness of prophylaxis. The massive Cuban inoculation against leptospirosis in 2007, where 2.4 million people were given this type of homeopathic treatment and reduced the spread of that epidemic disease, that infectious disease. And hopefully we will see more of these kinds of studies and actual proofs of homeopathy. I'm envisioning when there is when there is a crisis that we come in with our homeopathic emergency kit.
Exactly. You know, and one of the wonderful things about homeopathy is that it's often been referred to as the people's medicine. And I love that term because part of what we can do, which is a little different than conventional medicine, is that not only can we treat patients who are really sick, but we can educate the public to use homeopathic medicines prophylactically and also as a genus epidemicus to ward off disease. And so I think we can reach larger populations fairly quickly once we reach that level of acceptance.
I'm just holding that vision. Dr. Sharma.
Yes, and that is really very interesting that like India, in India, on every epidemic disease, everyone is using homeopathy. And on any pandemic disease, everyone is using homeopathy. And in our previous lecture, Dr. Isaac Golden also present many of the data regarding these homeopathy effectiveness of homeopathy in the epidemic disease. And here in India in 2010, the dengue was spreading a lot in India, and the acid nitric was working well, very well. Although the disease is a mosquito originated, but acid nitric is doing very well. And then homeopathy is always effective for the epidemic and pandemic disease.
I feel we need to follow India's lead because it's part of the institution, their government medicine has homeopathy as a fundamental mainstream role for the people. And it's a necessity, and we are now needing it.
Part of the
Yes,
problem,
definitely.
part of the problem from an American perspective is, and of course, America is so narcissistic, it believes that it has the best healthcare system in the world and the only way of approaching medicine.
Oh
And one of the
dear.
downsides is that it oftentimes feels that unless research comes from the United States, it has no value or meaning. And so research from India demonstrating efficacy or whatever is oftentimes devalued in the court of opinion here in the United States. And so one of the things that we believe is critical moving forward is that we create partnerships, research partnerships between India and the United States that do studies jointly. And that's well accepted, actually, if to do studies that are either multi-center or a joint partnership between countries. And I think those kinds of studies will reach much broader acceptance and recognition in the United States. So I think that's going to be an important way to move forward from a research perspective.
Right. So I just keep, as I hear all of the wonderful things that the college is proposing to do and endeavoring, and I know that they need support to do that. They need support from the homeopathic community, the general public, the medical establishment, to be able to create that transformation, to move into that change, because America is losing status in the world view for, I mean, we look at China economically. We're not the number one. I mean, I hate to say that. I live in America, but, you know, perhaps there's a lot of fear that we're going to lose our status as the world leader. But if we hold on to homeopathy, we can be a world leader in medicine.
Yes,
Homeopathy,
exactly. And that will be happen in few years.
homeopathy in the world today is thought to be the second most common form of alternative medicine. And the number one is herbal medicine. But in the United States, it's ranked number 11. So we have quite a bit of ground to make up to bring homeopathy to the same level as it is around the world.
You know, the medical community is completely and totally aware of their frailties. They see the crumbling of the establishment, and I guess they don't have anything to grab onto. They don't understand the value of what homeopathy can provide for them. My son is an emergency room medical physician, and every time he tells me a story about the people in the waiting room for hours waiting, and I say, oh, they just needed a dose of arnica, they just needed aconite, they would have gotten up and walked out. And here they're just like not doing well. And because of the system, which is broke, he's unable to provide that gentle, quick acting, rapid acting emergency care.
We just submitted a grant to the federal government. It was called the CMS grant system. Looks like my picture went out again, so I'll reboot. And basically, there was a pool of money that was put out by the federal government. I think it was $2 or $3 billion. And they were soliciting grants from all over the country to find innovative ways to reduce healthcare costs for Medicare and Medicaid. This was their task, and they wanted innovative approaches, something new. This is what they said.
That's what they said.
Yes. And they had they ultimately gave 75 grants, and they had about 3,000 applications. And we applied for one. It was a $5.5 million grant. And I believe we were probably the only homeopathic application. And we actually partnered with the acupuncture school here in town in forming that grant. And we were not accepted, I'm sorry to say. And of the 75 grants that were accepted, none of them had any alternative medicine component to them. All of them were in conventional, well-known hospitals, and none of them really were very innovative. All of them were using the same methods that had been used in the past for treatment and whatnot. There was, social change. That was the innovation portion, but none of them really used new therapies or even looked at that idea. So I think it speaks to the attitude in the federal government towards alternative medicine, which is still not widely accepted.
Okay, so we have only 2 minutes left to the show. And what could we say that would be a catalyst for change for those who are listening, those who see the archives, because these shows are recorded for people to listen to afterwards. And we also want to know how to contact you if other people have questions and want to get involved.
So, to be a catalyst for change, I believe, comes in two ways. It comes from the ground up. It comes from each of us embracing homeopathy, giving the message out about homeopathy, being part of a worldwide homeopathic community. I think by doing that kind of thing, it helps to grow awareness and catalyze change. But also I think that change happens, I don't like the word top down, but it also works from an institutional level as well. And that is supporting institutions that are trying to move homeopathy forward, like our college, is also critical, I believe, to the growth of homeopathy and homeopathic medicine here in the United States.
So it sounds like it's on an individual level, we have to look within each of us, in a community level, and an institutional level, and probably a governmental level, and countrywide. I mean, it's all of these levels that have to move forward, and this is the watchword today. Everybody says the universe is going through this shift, and I think homeopathy is part of that shift. It's just to awaken people and get their eyes open and to breathe in and let go of whatever is preventing them from seeing that vision. Dr. Sharma, do you have a one word to say before we sign off? Are you there? We get a delay sometimes.
Here, and I really enjoyed the show. And thanks to Dr. Todd, and thanks everyone to listen and share their thoughts. Thank you, Dr. Todd.
And I want to thank you too. And this was really a fascinating talk, a very enlightening. And for those people who want to learn more, if you just go to Homeopathy World Community, the Health In group, you will be able to see the information, a recording of the show, and everything, and all past shows as well. So thank you. And thank you, Amnon. We're ending?
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, bye-bye, everyone. We love you. Send that love out, and we'll heal ourselves.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. to noon. Health In with Debby Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. The Scope of Things with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 to 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 8 to 9 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com.